Oh, Ron, you picked the wrong person. There you go.
No, I did it right.
You did it right. Nick, you forgot
That's
yourself.
not my show. It's not my show.
Forgot yourself. Very humble. Very humble. Hi, everybody. Yeah. Hope you're doing well. It's the 28th of June. It's the end of Q4. We're at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. We've got Rod Trent, Brody Castle, and Nicholas Madsen. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, as good as it gets.
As good as it gets? All right, cool. Not enough to get mad at me? Love it.
No.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. Rod, how are you doing? We'll introduce Nicholas in just a sec here.
Yeah, I'll introduce Nicholas here in a minute. I'm doing... Oh, you made me think about it. I had an answer for that earlier. I just totally forgot. No, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I feel like, though, because I just got back from a run a little bit ago, and I was discussing this with other people. I feel like Ohio, where I live, is under attack from Canada.
Yeah. It's just, I saw the smoke. So firesmoke.ca is a great map to see the projected smoke. And I was like, oh, man, U.S. is getting blasted by
the past
Canada.
2 days, right? I went outside for a run, and I thought, what the? Yeah, it's just the craziest thing.
It's okay in the West here. So I'm in Alberta, and we must have hired the entire globe's worth of firefighters because we had South Africans, we had French from France, we had folks from Australia. Money, and most of them are out. But in Quebec and Ontario is where the major fires are in the east now.
Now help me with this. This is not controlled, right? This is something that's just wildfire out of control, and they're trying to,
And I'm no expert, right? But like, over time, earlier decades past, I think there was an abundance of managing fires. And you need fires to happen, right? You need fires to happen because you need old growth to be disposed of, and you need new growth to come in. And in the past, I think managing fires was something we felt like you had to do more than maybe what was necessary. And what happens is that builds up over time, and now a whole bunch of fire needs to happen. It just needs to happen all at once. But it's kind of rare for both the western half and the eastern half of the country to have these amount of fires this early in the year. Spring especially. So I'm not going to get into a climate change rant or anything, but it sucks. Hopefully,
my climate has changed. Thank you. So
it sure has. I mean, because weeks ago it was the folks in New York State were like, "What's going on?" I mean, the weeks previous it was our end of the continent, and now you're seeing it. So was it like Mars today? Like, was it really bad where you live?
No, it wasn't really bad. I had to go out run. I have some stuff I'm thinking about some for next fiscal year and stuff like that. So every time I have a brain block, I have to go run to kind of think it out, and it works great. But it was a little hazy. It wasn't bad. I felt fine after getting back. Of course I passed that only a couple times, so it was fine. So there's that. I mentioned last week, and I can actually say it officially now, that did sign the contract on Monday that, yes, myself, Matt Zorich, and another individual, we are co-writing the definitive guide to KQL. What's the full name? It's kind of silly. The definitive guide to KQL using Kusto query language for operations, defending, and threat hunting for MS Press. That's just like the longest. It's like the old days of Microsoft branding. Let's just put in as many words as we can just to confuse people.
And this is gonna that title fits on a book.
That is the book. Yeah, it's done.
That's crazy. Okay, that's a big title, man. Are you gonna acronym that? Is it like Kafugabaka?
Yeah.
Well,
I think if I acronymed it, it'd sound like some kind of Biden speech, but yeah. So there's that. Also, for those that are just listening and not watching, and you come back and watch the video, join us live sometimes, because
join us live. It's super fun.
I received this week. It's my Kusto Detective Agency T-shirt. I won. Beautiful. Well, that didn't really win. I actually had to do something for it. Got a shirt for the detective agency this past time. I was actually quick enough to get on there and get it finished, so that's pretty cool. I do need to mention before I ask you, Brody, what you did this week, and then we jump in and introduce our guest co-host.
Yes.
Brody, you mentioned early on that this is the end of Microsoft fiscal year, right? As of Friday, all things come to the end. Next week is the first week of the new fiscal year, which means what?
Panic.
No,
just kidding. It means a whole bunch of leadership meetings to set the stage for what we're going to be focused on as an organization.
Well, I think that's done already, but but everybody disappears, and we're the same. So next week I'm actually taking the week off, which means because of the fiscal year end and also because of July 4th, the U.S. holiday, we will have no show next week.
Oh,
people need to know
so, hey?
Right?
Yeah, because Canada Day, which I'm sure you don't care about, is Saturday, but July 4th is Tuesday.
Hopefully all of Canada just takes a day off to clean up the fires.
If it's Canada Day, you might be getting more smoke coming south.
Probably.
Yeah,
all the barbecue, back bacon, and stuff like that.
Yes, the barbecue is what I was referring to. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Good stuff, Rod. Where are you going?
Me?
You?
I'm not going anywhere. The wife has some things planned out. I think we're going hiking and stuff. Nothing official. We're not actually going anywhere. It's a staycation.
Cool.
It's just I'm going to try my darndest not to work for 1 week because I'm not even delivering the newsletters next week, by the way.
I would like to see you disconnect for a whole week and actually disconnect.
Can't do it.
Come on, Rod. Come on.
Throughout my entire career, I've never been able to accomplish that. People talk about this work-life balance. That is my work-life balance. I enjoy it. Yeah.
I'm totally opposite. Out of office, party on. See you later. I'm gone. Yeah.
Okay. So, Brody, what happened? What did you do this week? It is midweek. You've only had 2 days to actually do anything, but yeah.
I do stuff. I work, Rod. Thanks for asking. Actually, what's interesting is I'm not really feeling well this week. Got a stomach thing going on, so that kind of sucks. So if I slur my words or I sound like Biden, to your point, Rod, you'll know why. I'm kind of working on 4 hours of sleep every day this week. But I digress. Something interesting I've been working at. Working with the defense industry is interesting. I get questions like, Brody, how do we multi-factor or two-factor authenticate when individuals can't bring phones into a secure environment? I'm like, okay, well, maybe like a physical token or biometrics. Yeah, but Brody, what if those individuals have wounds, battle wounds, or they're in a hazardous environment where they can't take off their glove or a mask? I'm like, well, actually, these are interesting use cases that you're bringing up, and I don't know what the answers are yet. I'm still working through them with these individuals. It's a lot different than working with like a financial institution in terms of how they 2FA, right? Things of that nature. So we're doing a whole zero trust thing with the defense industry, and I'm learning a lot. We're going to start looking at personas. We're going to start, finding out how each individual works within those environments, and it's a fun change up. It's a fun change up from what I normally do. And then we're also working with an education institution in the U.S., and I'm leading a project there as my good friend Charles, who I hope watches and listens to the show.
Hi, Charles.
Hi, Charles. He's leaving. He's leaving for greener pastures, and he's awesome. I wish him the best. And he's handing over the reins to me. So, Charles, I'll try not to screw it up while you're gone. And then other than that, on the community side, we're planning for FY24 worldwide security community efforts, Americas and Latin America efforts as well. Internally at Microsoft, we've got a pretty robust connected community organization across security and compliance and identity and all these other artificial intelligence, right? Defense and intelligence, all kinds of stuff. And so we're trying to plan and bring good content and bring people together internally at Microsoft so that we can learn from one another and kick ass and chew bubblegum. That's kind of
it's about always learning, right?
Yeah,
always learning. Yeah,
you got it.
Well, and it's hard to learn when you tell everybody you know everything. So
yeah, drop the ego for sure.
Yeah.
It sucks. Yeah. Don't have an ego. Just have an open mind. Have a growth mindset.
Yeah. So we do have a special co-host this week. So was it last week or a couple weeks ago we had our first guest co-host, Brody? Do you remember?
A couple weeks.
Two
right? Or three. Yeah.
I love this, and I think everybody else does too. So internally at Microsoft, for those that don't know, you've heard this before if you've watched the show, but if you don't know, it means you haven't watched the show and you need to watch it more. But internally, we have what's called the private preview program. Actually, now it's called the customer connection program, which gives our customers the ability to try out our features, services before they go GA or go to public preview. We have so many awesome customers, and they're just so highly engaged and active in this program. Part of this, I don't know exactly how it works. I think there's points given for certain. I don't know how even the points are measured or anything like that, but there is a way to get awards or rewards for your efforts for being a strong community member within that community. So we've had a few, and we have actually a few more also scheduled coming up as well. What we call CCP black belts, right? So they've attained this black belt status, and as part of that award, they, for whatever reason, I don't get it, I wouldn't do it, they've chosen this show as their reward. So I want to welcome Nicholas Madsen. Thank you, sir. Congratulations. Thank you for your service in the private preview program. Yeah. And I want to say this. I don't want to embarrass you too much, but Brody's obviously not felt very well, but Nicholas today had his wisdom teeth taken out, and he's still here on the show. I don't know where Edward's at, but Nicholas is here.
You're a trooper, bud. Welcome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here. So yeah, if I lisp a little bit, then you know why.
Yeah. Just talk out of the other side of your mouth.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Yeah. Okay. So how was that? So I mentioned this when he mentioned it earlier. I've mentioned this. I just suffered through it. All of my wisdom teeth actually grew in, and I have my wisdom teeth. I always thought about that. You know, if these things are like built in to grow in your mouth, eventually you need them for something, and they're called wisdom teeth. I'm thinking by the time you're like 80, 85, 90 years old, you need these to chew steak other than just drink pudding, right? So I'm thinking I'm going to still be eating steak when you guys are eating porridge.
Yeah. We will put it in the blender and then
right, mush it up, a slurry smoothie. Well,
Rod,
I was wondering maybe that's why you had all those gray hairs, because you're so wise because of all your wisdom teeth that you have in your mouth. So.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think so, but it could be. I'm just getting rid of my ego. I'm like, I'm learning.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
sweet.
Well, so Nicholas, other than that, what did you do this week? What do you do as your daily location?
So first of all, I'm located in Copenhagen in Denmark, in Europe. So it's a little bit late now, but that's fine. I work in Accenture. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't, but it's one of your biggest partners. So I sit in our cloud and infrastructure security entity. Primarily with the Azure and Windows infrastructure security.
Awesome.
Nice. That's fun.
So
we got a ton of great experience.
What have you that you can talk about? What have you participated? What have you done within this CCP and the customer connection program? How have you attained this award?
I have been very active with primarily the Defender for Cloud suite. So all the new features that you see coming up now with the Defender CSPM, storage version 2, all these things that are now generally available, right? Then we have a lot of interesting things coming up that are private preview. So if you're not yet part of this community, I encourage everyone to join it. It's a lot of fun.
I was looking at there's a short URL. I have to look at that up and supply that in the show notes. It's really easy to sign up, right? There's some requirements, obviously, but it's really easy to sign up, and anyone can participate in this, and it's super awesome.
Yeah.
Customers like you, Nicholas, you're the reason why our products are the way they are today. All of our products are customer vetted and customer driven, so it's super awesome.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was just about to say that you really get like a direct line to the product group. So this is really your way to influence the products before they come out to the masses.
So who's your, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who is your favorite private preview PM?
I actually, honestly, I don't know, because I talk to a lot of different people.
Yeah. So you're not trying to throw any. I appreciate it. Don't throw anyone.
Yeah, I mean,
Who don't you like?
Yeah, who don't like? That's a tough one, right? Especially being live here.
Rod, be nice. Be nice.
Yeah,
I want some more co-hosts.
We don't really need the answer. I think we know already.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I have no
idea. The product managers who do not listen to my feature requests.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Well, obviously someone is listening to you because you were able to get this award, and I appreciate it. Congratulations. That's a super thing. That's super awesome. We truly appreciate that. So great.
Yeah, I think it's a great program.
I think it might be time, unless we have anything else to share, to introduce probably, and I've said this a couple times, and I'm going to go on record of saying this as well. It's the hardest working MVP in the MVP program. All right. So I want to introduce Morten. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I don't know if I'm the hardest working, but I really appreciate you saying that. So, and congratulations on your book. That's a really cool announcement that you just made there.
Everybody says congratulations, but so early on in my career, I wrote a lot of books. And I gave them up because it's a lot of effort for very little return. And it just, I'm like, oh my goodness. So now when people say congratulations on this book, I'm like, you don't know what you're saying.
Condolences.
Yeah.
There you go, Nick.
But this one was so important to me. It's just something I couldn't pass up. So I'm just like, I'll suffer through it this time. But if they ask again, it's a flat no. Huh?
With the title that long, I mean, you can't turn that down. Yeah.
Well, that was ChatGPT right there. So.
I'm just kidding. Well, so my name is Morten, and I'm also calling in from Denmark. So actually, we are 2 Danes here tonight, and I'm really happy that you're also here, Niklas, and especially with your dedication in the CCP program. Actually, I have also been part of it for the last 2 years, and I try to encourage everyone that I meet and that have some extra spare time to participate. So it's really cool, and you get to know a lot of people, and get to know and try the product, give some feedback, and I really love the way that Microsoft really listens to it. So, thinking of the size of the company, and you can actually kind of do a small impact on it and bring back the feedback from your own experience and also from your customers, and you can see how they work with the feedback, and it's really, really good, and I really love it. So I really encourage everyone else to join. So I hope you can bring the link in, Rod, in the show. It's really cool that
Void actually supplied that. This individual beat me to it, so I'm going to have to use that in the show notes a little bit later. But there it is, aka.ms/join CCP. You would think that I would remember something like that. That's just so easy.
Right.
Well, it's not a Rod Trent link, so that's probably why you don't memorize it.
Exactly. My ego links. Yeah.
No points for you.
Yeah. Sorry, Rod. Who else do we have here? Nick?
Well, I think this is a surprise. I think people are going to love this. If they knew that this individual was going to be here, maybe that's why we had so many people sign up, pre-register for LinkedIn.
Suddenly popular.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. So I'm Nick Keast, Principal PM for data collection rules, also for diagnostic settings and platform logging. But yeah, in the Azure Monitors team, and been working with Morten and the awesome stuff he's doing, and working with a lot of other customers. And we're trying to grow what we can do with Azure Monitor to do everything that you need.
Love it.
Yeah, that's super awesome. DCRs, data collection rules. I think anyone that's worked with Sentinel in particular, right? So all the folks that I know, these are super important, super helpful, super valuable. I think with the XPath and stuff, a lot of people are having to relearn a couple things, but yeah, super powerful. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much, Nick, for joining here. I really appreciate it. So I asked Nick to join here because I'm really passionate about logging, and over the last I would say 6 months or so, I've been working very hard on building an extra you can say, glue to some of the standard products and features coming out from the pipeline team and the DCR team, and working especially on the next generation of log analytics. I call it log analytics version 2. So it's kind of the replacement of what we have today. And I'm working both on the AMA, side of it with the Azure Monitor team, testing a lot of the new stuff and giving back feedbacks and stuff like that. And lastly, I've been working on the API side. So we have an replacement of the current HTTP data collector API, which is called Log Ingestion API, which includes, DCR, data collection endpoint, DCE, and also, the new log analytics table. And so I built a module that helps customers to make that transition. So, and that's something that I hope that also if interested, we can touch on today. I think it's really cool and getting a lot of big momentum out there. So it's really cool.
Yeah, so this PowerShell module in particular, I think we want to kind of highlight that for just a sec, because how long's that been? When did you release that? It's been, I don't know, a few weeks.
Yeah, well, I released it in April 15th, I think, just around MVP Summit timeframe, and as of now, I think the last time I checked, it has been downloaded 61,000 times.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So it's
that was all by one person.
Yeah, I said
yeah, right. It's my robot that does it.
Somebody kept downloading and they forget where they put it. Dang it.
That's right.
It's in the downloads
parentheses
folder
1,
again.
parentheses 2.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's super awesome. Well, and I mean, that's just kind of, I guess, it's an indication that it's necessary, right? Everybody needs help with that. I work with Sentinel. I know there are a lot of other people work with other services and things that use Azure Monitor and log analytics, and that data ingestion is key. So what's different about this API, this log ingestion collector?
So I would say that the way that we did things in the old days, it was kind of easy. We just send in some data, and it would automatically create the table and the columns and the naming, and it was kind of you didn't have to do much of it because it did a lot of the things, and you can say that was an advantage. But today, the potential with this new way of thinking, where you have where you send the data into a pipeline, and you have a DCR that can handle things. Think of it as you can right now send data into log analytics, but maybe in the future we would see that we can send data to multiple streams of things. And we can now also manipulate with the data in the pipeline, so that we can, for example, add data, we can remove data before it actually hits the destination and the log analytics table. So we have a lot of cool things that we can do with the data, but it's also a little challenging because you have to define the schema and you have to ensure that the tables and the DCR are created, and you have to deal with new properties and stuff like that. So that is where my module comes into play. So that's the short version of it.
So if you don't define the schema and the table and stuff like that, is there a default, I guess?
With DCRs, we need you to give us that schema of what's coming in. Okay. And if you don't, we're going to drop the data. And this is actually a safety measure. This is to make sure we had customers accidentally grab the wrong file. and boom, they just gain 300 extra columns.
Yeah.
And undoing that is a real pain, and actually it even can cause repercussions on the back end for everyone.
Right.
So we moved from a dynamic schema management that just kind of took care of it for you to a more explicit model. And initially, it's more work. But because it's explicit, now people like Morten have built really awesome tools that give you choices about how you're going to handle that schema. So he has different modes that take the initial schema and then don't modify it any further, versus look at new fields popping up and adding them, and able to give you errors when those things are occurring. So we're handing control over to the user, and then control over to these scripts where previously you had no control. It was just the server did what the server did.
Right.
So
Okay.
DCR, it does up the complexity a bit, but we're giving you so many powerful knobs to build on. And we're trying to build everything on core Azure primitives as, ARM resources that you can use with Bicep or anything like that. You can use Terraform, build that out, and then
That
use
was a question,
AMA.
by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. So like we wherever possible, we are trying to snap to a standard. Open or Microsoft, we're trying to not create something new here. We're going, great, someone already did it, we're going to go that way. So we're going to use AAD auth, we're going to use MSI, like all of these things, just pick something that's already known and solved. But yeah, like now, I mean, Rod, like in the end, KQL is a typed query language. It's a typed, Kusto is a typed database system. Like, you having those types allows you to do more. And before, when you got data into the ingestion path, it just kind of guessed. It didn't know. Now we're asking you, give us the type, because with the type, we can do better expressions, more powerful things.
Right.
Cool. If you're like me and data collection rules are not your primary skill set or something that's somewhat new to you, when you're talking to security operations individuals, folks working in the field, defenders, what's the selling point? What's the value proposition for incorporating these if you've never looked at this before?
Yeah, I think we bring two things together that we didn't fully have before. One is reusability, that you, compared to some other systems that we've had, you don't define it per individual machine or individual data source and deploy it individually to each one. Instead, you set a data collection rule and you associate it with a lot of things. That allows for you to quickly change a rule, and for 5,000 VMs, 5 minutes later, to start collecting something different. So that scalability and reusability is one. The second, and these are the powers, like, you guys have only seen the beginning of DCR.
Version 1.
Like the KQL transforms that you're starting to play with, that was an idea from the very beginning, but it took us some time to get there. With that, I think we originally described DCR as, I wouldn't literally say it's ETL, but it is very much, think of it like ETL, of extract, transform, load. Pick what data you want to grab, say what you want to do to it, and then say where you want to put it. And that's what a data collection rule is. We have our data sources, we have our destinations, and then we have our data flows, which I view as kind of a switchboard to map between those things. That was the original version. Oh, okay, there's a data source, there's a destination, we've mapped it. But now we have not just simple wires, you can hook those wires up to some effects board that can modify the data as it comes through and go, okay, let's put it into that cool mixer there and do some KQL on it and then spit it out in a different way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that, to me, I'm just thinking in my mind while you're describing that's super cool, because now those sources of data that you should just kind of filter into whatever table we decided it should go into, now customers can kind of create their own table and create their own detection rules around that specific thing, which makes it much more easy to track that specific thing for that specific event, which I think is pretty cool. The other piece of that, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
One source also doesn't have to be one table.
Right.
So you can have some appliance spitting out syslog, but in reality, you know that there's different things in there. and you want to grab based on some property and put in a different table so you can just execute something on that one table for that one type of data coming out.
Yeah, so we also, and I think most people know this, but we have ASIM, right? So our Advanced Security Information Model for Microsoft Sentinel, where it will go out and it's intelligent enough to look through that syslog or whatever it happens to be for all that extra junk and just pull out the DNS stuff. So we can kind of use the KQL behind the ASIM to maybe, will it, I guess, filter it into those tables where it needs to be potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some of that Sentinel stuff's built right on DCR directly. Some of it's even built on the primitives that we're using to build out DCR. But yeah.
But it's obvious that, for example, you can, for compliance reasons, for example, if you have a column of data where you want to remove the data because it conflicts with some kind of compliance regulation, then we can take that data out, or we can take specific rows of data. For example, if it contains a specific event ID, if we don't want to see that, we can cut that out before it hits the log analytics. So if you are certain about the transformations that you apply to it, you can also use it for cost reduction as an example. So even you can add or merge data, you can also remove data.
And also data masking as well, right? Because that's kind of a key thing customers are always asking about, right?
Cost or compliance.
Oh boy.
Hey, guess who's here? Oh my goodness. It's Defender X.
Defender X coming from the golf course or what?
He can't hear us.
We can just smack talk him.
He's still having audio issues.
Better late than Brody.
All right. So just so for those listening, Edward is here. But
everybody stop what
you're doing. He can't hear us. So everybody scream at once. No, super awesome. So Morten, Nicholas, did you have any questions?
No, I had a little chat with Morten earlier today.
Oh yeah.
And we clarified.
So he answered all your questions. Why didn't you do that for me?
Yeah, you gotta save it for the show, Nicholas.
I know.
Morten, you should have just said, "Hey, wait for the show." No.
Now I said I could help him if you want to play with it, testing it out. So I think it's really cool what you can do with these things. If you think it doesn't necessarily need to be, pulling in, security data. It can be any types of data that you want to. So that's why I call it kind of, in quote, any connector, because I can, pull data in or I can push data up. So for example, I have built a free solution, which I call a client inspector. You can download it on my GitHub, and it's an example of how you can send this script out to all your clients, and it will bring back tons of data from your clients every single day, and it will send it into log analytics using this new method. And then on top of that, I have provided 15 different dashboards where you can view these different data. So it's kind of just a showcase for this new concept of log ingestion API, but it's actually also pretty useful because you can see, for example, all the machines that do not have a BitLogger enabled, or who is the member of the local admin group, or the Defender AV configuration and stuff like that. So it's just simple PowerShell bringing back data, and you can actually use it in different ways. I have had examples of customers that ask me, for example, I want to understand what local printers do we have on all our different 200 sites. Do we need to send out a guy with a piece of paper to write down it, or can we bring back the data and use it for budgeting to buy new large printers to replace that instead? And you can use it for many different purposes.
Nice, that's awesome, Morten. Do you have something visual that you want to share with everybody? Not to put any pressure, but if you have something ready, we'd be happy to.
Yeah, I can show a little thing about the solution, but it's it's kind of just a script, but I'll give it I'll try to show it a little bit here. So I'll just share my screen.
Okay.
So let me just share my screen here.
So what I'm hearing while you're starting to share your screen is all of that complexity that Nick just talked about. You're trying you eliminate it with your solution here.
Yes.
Not that it's complex, Nick. I'm just saying.
I'm not going to say it's not.
Yeah.
He's got the T-shirt, so nothing's complex for Rod.
Yeah. So this is just to wrap up, the question that you just had before. What are the advantages of this new things? And we talked about it, adding data, merging data. We can send it to different places and stuff like that. So, like I was saying, we also do have some challenges dealing with this, because we have to create the DCR and the table before this. We have to ensure that the DCE, the data collection endpoint, the schema must be defined, and we also need to deal with adding. How do we deal with, for example, adding new properties in the source object? I have two modes, like a merge mode and an override mode. So these are some of the challenges, and you can see the module here. You can download it on.
Are you sharing, by the way? Are you sharing?
Let me just see here. You should be. Oh, here we go. Let me just see here.
Yeah, go ahead and share it, and I'll push it to the screen.
It's not Teams, so it's confusing. I know. It's totally different.
So let me just share my screen.
I heard Ed.
There we go.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
There we go.
Here we go.
Do you see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
I see your profile picture too.
Yeah. QR code? Does that take us to Never Gonna Give You Up?
Yeah, there's a lot of barcodes in here, so it will go directly to the PowerShell gallery where you can find the module. So that is in here, and this is an example of one of the people that are using this, and Ruben, he's from a large enterprise German manufacturing company, and they have they are using the module inside their production, and using it for monitoring their entire production. And so he found a great value of it. So again, some of the things that we need to make sure that we deal with is, for example, the schema. So when you have large data objects, you have to deal with the schema, and that is part of both the DCR and also from the log analytics table itself. So you can see here you have a lot of columns, you have the types of data, and that's some of it that we have to deal with. And like I was saying before, we can pull data from any source, and we can push data, like for example from an inventory base where we can send in the data. So there are lots of ways where we can use these different data. So this is just an example of running the script, which is the inventory script part. And so you can see it collects data using standard PowerShell, and then it sends the data up. But it also deals with some of the challenges. For example, if the naming of the columns or the data are prohibited, or the length of the data is too long, and stuff like that. So it handles all these challenges automatically by detecting these challenges and making sure to adjust to this. So this is just the script that runs and sends in the data. This is another example where I'm running the script, and it will actually detect if the table and the DCR exist, and if it does not exist, it will automatically create the table and the DCR, and also add the necessary schema, and again it will also work by adding more properties to it. So it handles all these things, and this is the verbose mode where you can see what's going on here. So
Really
this
cool.
is just a sneak preview of this to give you some insight on this.
That's awesome. I didn't know you'd have an entire deck ready, Morten. So excellent job, sir. Yeah, excellent job. Oh, I already broke it again. I keep breaking the screen view. There we go. I'm bad with computers. Yeah, this is great. I mean, it's great that you can demonstrate this.
Yeah.
So, Morten, my apologies for being late, friend. Quick question for you. What maybe you answered this for our users, listeners who haven't. First of all, hello everyone. I'm Ed. I do exist.
We know you exist. Coming from the golf course or what?
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So
who are you?
Anyway, I'm Defender X. That's who I am. Okay, expert at defending. So hello, Nicholas. Hello, Nick. Hello, Martin. My apologies. Martin, what is the minimum PowerShell version, module version, to be able to use your tool? Does it check for that?
It does. Right now, it works on both 5.1 and above, so it will run on the majority of the versions that are out there. So it will automatically check the different versions that are in there. And actually, I can just show you how it works if it will not be running this, because I have actually built a special module to deal with the problem with two different scenarios. And one scenario is for servers that do not have internet access, and the other scenario is for the ones which does not run VMF 5.1. So this is an example of an old 2008 server where you can see that it will collect the data, but instead of sending it to the log analytics table or the Azure workspace, it will send the data into a shared path internally, where you can see the data is stored in a JSON file. And then I have another module which will look for files in here, and it will handle the data. So it will deal with disconnected environments or environments where we are not running the right TLS version. So now I'm going to start the lookup engine, and it will now detect the files, and it will send the data into the log analytics workspace. So it will come in typically with a delay of 10, 15 seconds. So this is just an example of how I use it. And it's standard PowerShell. There's no other file in here.
Mm-hmm. And permissioning, is there a permissioning check from the way that you're running this from your and being able to write to that LAW, so it checks for that cross permission between the devices?
So it's some of the security of it is actually tightened much better now. I'm just trying to cancel this here. Now everything is handled by there's an Azure app with a service principal that is only having the necessary permissions to send in the data. Mm-hmm. And I have also introduced the concept of having a reference computer. So if you have, for example, 5,000 computers, you don't necessarily want it to add new properties from all these different computers in the schema. So we have I have the concept of having a reference machine where you run the script, and it will only make changes to the schema when run from these different machines. But on servers, you can have the same object, which will be different depending on the OS version. So for example, 2012, 16, 19, the same command, for example, inside VMI, can have different properties. And in that case, I want to merge these different properties so that it will show all the data, even though the OS version is different.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, so that's coming in with some smart questions. Not bad for someone who's rolling in off the golf course.
So that's pretty awesome. Morten, what was your incentive to, because this had to take many hours, right? So what was your incentive to actually do this?
Well, what I have done previously is that all my customers are having they have been using this client inspector and a server inspector script for I think 5-6 years. And on top of that, I provided dashboards for free so that they can have great insights to their infrastructure. So think of the dashboard as kind of desired configuration, which will show all machines that are deviating from our desired infrastructure. And so all those were built on the old version. So, running on HTTP data collector and also with MMA version. And I wanted to transform it into using the latest and greatest technology stack. And so that was the you can say the reason for doing this. And secondly, I would also say that I have seen the power of this, and I wanted to help the community in doing this transition here. And right now, we just added 2 new articles last week, and you can actually find the articles inside the Azure Monitor documentation. And Microsoft was kind enough to add my name in there as well. But I also provided some scripts in one of the articles, so basically whatever I can do to help the community, I would love to do that.
So this goes back to my original point when I introduced you and we brought you on screen. I don't think everyone believes that you're the hardest working MVP in the MVP program.
Yeah, he is.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes, he is.
A lot of great people out there working hard. So, but it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it. And I love to help the community and spend time there and understand how we can do things just a little bit better. And if I can impact that, I'll be more than happy to do that. And I also learned a lot, and I have a lot of great ideas of new things that I want to implement inside this. For example, like monitoring of this solution as an example. That's something that I have an idea about looking into for the future. But it's I think that a lot of ideas. I have also built another script recently, which is introducing people to the Azure Resource Graph, which I find is a very hidden feature inside the Azure stack, but it helps me with tons of great information when I do scripting and automation, and that's just another example.
Nice.
Well,
Nick,
I think
it must
just
be great to have people like Morten here in the community contributing back. And then Nicholas, same to you. I mean, you can draw upon these individuals and help your customers in your scenarios as well.
Yeah, we're just amazed in the product group, but watching Morten run through this, and we've had a few meetings with him, gave him some feedback, and then 2 days later, he's like, "Cool, I've done all of this," and we're like, "Whoa!" He's just doing really awesome stuff with this. We're explaining some of the background of why things work the way they do, and then he actually kind of made some adjustments to make it run a little safer, a little easier. Actually, I think the ARG kind of came up from that, where we're like, hey, don't hammer ARM if you don't have to. You'll actually get throttled. So if you can query this through ARG, that's safer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Insider baseball there. Yeah.
So, to go out to the Microsoft guys on the call, right? Morten, how have you Microsoft proof your solution? Meaning, if they change something, either with the schema, deprecate something, does your tool go, what did they do now? And I have to go back and look at it. Because I know we're changing something. Maybe you're on the inside, you are the MVP. You need to put the word "the" in from it. So maybe they call you for permission. Hey, we're going to change this. This is okay. It's okay
I think I have a lot of customers that will tell me if something breaks,
okay.
but actually, when it comes to the schema, you mentioned the schema. I really don't care about changing the schema because I'm actually handling that by either doing an override based on the source object where data are coming from, or doing a merge. So it will deal with it. But I think in general, if new things are coming up, and I know new things are coming, then I will adjust to that and release an update. So as an example, I just released an update 12 days ago, which will automate the migration of an existing V1 table and convert it into a DCR-based table. And I provided a video, and we also have an official documentation where it will show. So you can decide upon either doing a migration of a table, or you can do a side-by-side implementation where you are building a new table with a new DCR and new naming convention, and then you're adjusting your dashboards and testing things, and then you're doing the turnkey of the solution. Or you can reuse the table and then introduce new naming convention and using transformations and putting the data into the old structure using the new feature. So you can use either way, and it's really cool.
I've already thought of a couple of ways your tool can help me troubleshoot. I'm working with a customer and we're having some issues with the ServiceNow integration because they have a custom module inside of it. And so it's trying to write to they've made up the tables in their module and they're trying to write it here and it's not there. But maybe your tool can help troubleshoot that because they don't quite know which solution to use, the ServiceNow data connector or the solution in the content gallery, right? But we can't really tell. And then when we finally open up their modules, it just has so many columns of just like, do you actually need this information? But the way they're using it with their non-Sentinel SIM, they do. So we're trying to map it, and I'm working with the engineering group and everything. We're scratching our heads, but your tool gave me an idea on how to figure that out now.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. Okay.
So, Nick and Morten, I actually have a question. As you might know, a lot of customers might still be using SCUM, if that tells you anything. And I would like to know back to the value proposition that you asked a little bit about, Rod. How do you see that? I mean, SCUM versus AMA going forward.
Do you and Nick, or should I?
That's a loaded question. All right.
Yeah.
Let's hear this one.
Let's get some context to it before you go.
I can talk for hours about it, and I just did a presentation for a large company the other day about this, and it's something that we need to. The story that we have right now is a little problematic, because if you look at the AMA and you have the VM Insights, we are lacking one thing, which is the management pack. Because basically what we have today is that the capability of saying we have the green light and we have the red light, because we get that data, and you can actually use Azure Resource Graph today, and it will instantly show the state of your machine if you, for example, turn off a machine or if something is wrong with it. But the problem here is the management packs, because we don't have that inside Azure Monitor today. Last time when I was in Bellevue, in Seattle, I actually had a meeting with the Azure Monitor team around if we could build something like that, like a SCUM management pack converter. I could think of, it could be really cool if we had that feature.
Why haven't you built that yet?
Well, we actually have me and another guy. We're actually talking about it, and I was recently in India talking with the SCUM MI team as well. And what they are doing is also really cool, because they are also, making the MI product more of a native cloud solution. So I think we have multiple stories right now, but we don't have one story for YAS monitoring. I think SCUM is probably better for YAS monitoring because of the management pack capabilities. But Azure Monitor is the number one and the only product for PaaS and monitoring, and that's where it comes from. But we need to combine these two systems as of today. But it would be really cool if we could do more on the YAS monitoring in a single solution. But there are some issues with the thinking. For example, the SCUM management pack has something called a discovery, as an example. So we have a lot of the data inside Azure Monitor. We have the performance data, we have the capacity, we have the event data, and we have a lot of the data. And that's why I was thinking, could we do more with this?
Let me ask a quick question to Rod was on the show. I don't know if Brody was there. Rod, how did this line up to the gentleman we had on the show that wrote that SCUM solution? That was
I had a discussion with a customer, a large UK customer. Can't really talk about too much. Part of you're Morten, Nicholas, you're aware of the TSA, right, for the UK, right, the new telecom, where there has to be, for redundancy, there has to be an on-prem solution. Customer wants to use Microsoft Sentinel, but there has to be fallback on-prem just in case. So we had an individual on about a year ago, I guess, or something, has written the management pack, the security management pack, so you can actually pull in all the security information from all those devices and things on-prem, and it sits in SCUM in that SQL database, and then it forwards that stuff to Sentinel, right? So it's almost using SCUM like a syslog server or whatever, right? Logstash or whatever. So that is still a potential, and I know that we have some federal accounts that still use that. So there has to be some kind of interoperability eventually. To tell you the truth, it just has to.
I think I could really think of another solution that can also help us, and that is using more machine learning or like AI for the future, so that it will automatically detect and understand the normal and when things are deviating from this. I would really love to see more in that space as well.
We probably need to introduce them or make a connection, Rod, link them somewhere else, because there's if I can't remember the gentleman's name, we had him on the show.
Nathan.
Nathan, yeah. His solution may be that path that Martin goes, let's see if we can do this and this and that with it. Because now that Martin said that, remind me of the guy is another customer, can't mention their name. They want to write the data to disk first, then send it to Sentinel. Right? No fallback. All data goes to written to disk, and then once the disk has captured the logs, then the disk then sends it to Sentinel. I could not understand the use case until they got their folks on, and he explained it. And it's just the way their network topology is set up. They have to have that redundancy because they almost have, let them say it, 0 time differential variance, tolerance. It's close to the time it happens, it has to be written, and then it has to go up there. So that may be another solution. Martin, you just solving all the problems today. So yeah,
exactly.
And no, I mean, as a consultant, if you do this lift and shift, I mean, often people, they will have SCUM installed on their on-prem VMs, and then when you lift it into Azure, they sort of want to continue with SCUM. So that's where it's really difficult to come in and pitch the idea of having AMA installed as well, or AMA. Because they're super satisfied with SCUM, or the department have been using it for 20 years, right? So it's also like sort of a change management process as well, where you need to convert them. So it would be good to have,
So,
focus.
Mark, me and you will write a solution to run Sentinel on Azure Stack. That's what we'll do.
There you go.
So
Nick,
I'd love to say more.
Yeah,
I could tell as soon as you guys brought up machine learning. It's like,
I can't.
Yeah.
But I will kind of hint one thing. But we have a tension between lift and shift existing, and in that case, we're looking at like SCOM MI, and they're working on integrations with Azure Monitor to kind of bring that lift and shift forward. Versus, we're not getting rid. Okay, we're data centers owned by customers are reducing, but computers owned by customers are not. Computing devices are not. Edge is critical, and be that a manufacturing facility, be that a office facility, like there's all these places where we have whole infrastructure we need to monitor and deal with, and so we're investigating solutions there. But some of these, we're looking at, well, what would be the new answer? And we are looking into how can we work with community standards and work with OTel, and kind of see, hey, let's allow open ecosystem in an edge environment. We're seeing that from a lot of people building from scratch. They don't want a Microsoft specific solution of SCOM or something. They want to build it all on OTel. So we're trying to figure out how we can bring that in, and help the customers bring OTel systems. That's awesome things being built out there by everyone, and bring that into the cloud and help manage that for customers. There's a lot of research going on there. We're working with some big customers trying to understand their needs, and hopefully we'll be announcing some stuff in the future in that space.
Here's the thing about that I want to highlight. Every time I turn around and I get feedback from a customer and I go to a product group or a PM and I say, this is the feedback. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're working on that. We're already, we got that handled.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Put a UAT in. I have put another one in.
Nobody uses UAT anymore. I'm sorry.
I know, right?
Straight in prod.
There you go.
Agile development. Yeah.
So I don't quite know the connection between Nick, Martin, and Nicholas. I guess you the PM there. Nick, this question is to you. How close do you work with the AMA group?
Every day.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering, yours was it said PM for data collection rules. I know that you have program managers and you have feature
Without
program
AMA,
managers.
there is no DCR.
Yeah.
No, other way around.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Data collection. This is one of the, to give some hints of where we're going. From the beginning, data collection rules were not envisioned as the control system for AMA. It's envisioned as the control system for Azure Monitor. And AMA, though, was the first thing we wanted to launch. Like, why launch a new thing on an old thing? So we said, okay, AMA and DCR, those are going to go out together. We're going to make them work great side by side. Mm-hmm. But Morten, most of the work he's doing doesn't involve AMA. He's using the direct ingest API that there's no AMA involved. And there's a lot of other scenarios. Actually, anyone heard the latest managed Prometheus offering that we have? If you go digging into that managed Prometheus offering, you'll look, wait, there's a DCR here. There's actually a DCR being used to direct those Prometheus metrics to the Azure Monitor workspace. So we are looking at everything. If there's any type of data being collected in Azure Monitor, I'm talking with those teams and we're figuring out how it could be done with data collection rules. And in the end, it's the control plane for collecting data in Azure Monitor and a little bit outside of that. We're cooperating with other teams too, outside Azure Monitor, including getting it to places that aren't Azure Monitor. We know our customers want to send data to other things besides Sentinel and Log Analytics, and we're working on that as well. So all this, I also own the PASS diagnostic settings. And short answer, that thing's going away. It's going to be replaced with data collection rules. But that's not simple because that's integrated with over 100 Azure resource providers.
Yeah.
But the cool part is the way we did that API, like it's going to be easier than just one by one, but it's still going to be a ton of work. But we're really working on that right now. Similarly, there's a bunch of stuff going on in the metric space. we're often talking logs here in the security space, but metrics are also really important signals. And with the Azure Monitor workspace, that metrics workspace happening, there's a lot of cool things we want to do. And we want to overhaul how custom metrics work, how metrics collection works, how metric exporting works. And all of these things will be based at some point on data collection rules. When and in what order, we're working on it. But
yeah,
there's a lot of people engaged in this. And I think it's going to be a really cool unified system. It will be complicated, but it will also be really powerful for folks who want to do really cool things. And so we love hearing from MVPs like Morten. We're trying to do things. We're like, whoa, okay. Let's think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, if it's complicated, Morten will help explain it. We're in good hands, Morten.
Well, that's
I've
really
learned a lot already today.
Data collection rules are simultaneously a product. They're a thing that shows up in the Azure portal that you can go create one, and a platform. Sentinel is building really cool stuff with data collection rules where Sentinel takes care of it for you. And so half the things we do are based on partners like Sentinel coming to us and saying, hey, we need this feature for our product. And we go, okay, we're going to do that. But we make sure it's not just for Sentinel.
Yeah.
Any customer can use it to do things. Other half things we look at, we talk to our customers, they go, I don't get what this is doing, or I need to do this thing. And we go, oh, okay, let's add that directly based on customer feedback. But we're simultaneously a product and a platform. And you will see this little bit of challenge or dichotomy of a new feature gets released and there's new UX for it. Why is there no UX here? And the answer is, well, because we're trying to enable some really cool thing that's about to go live at Ignite, and they need this new core capability. And there you go. And then we go, okay, now let's go back, think of the UX and get on that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you. Good insight, Nick.
Good stuff.
Well, you got me more excited about DCRs. So.
Yeah. So, simple question right here. This goes back to Nick again. Nick, how many different versions of DCRs are there? Are there 2 types, 3 types, 1? If I do a DCR via Sentinel and do one inside Azure, are they the same?
Yes.
Okay. Just wondering.
There's a thing called a kind in a DCR, and technically right now there's 4.
4.
But one of them is just no kind. When there's no kind, it's anything goes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're currently talking about a lot of other kinds, but kinds are really just help you to scope the schema to get better bounds checking.
Mm-hmm.
But in all cases, they're the same API, they're the same control plane, they're the same capabilities. There's nothing special that someone gets to call that someone else doesn't get to.
Okay. Very cool. Good stuff.
Yeah. I've also added a lot of blogs recently, and I hope, Rod, you can link to it because it will give people some, great details where they can deep dive into AMA and DCR and DC and stuff like that. So I'm actually having, I think, 19 blogs on the Azure Monitor version 2 stuff there. So it can hopefully help, getting up to speed about the new features.
Okay.
Yeah,
be sure to include them in our show notes. Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be in the show notes. I have the links you sent me. If there's anything that I missed, absolutely send it along, because this is, I think, hugely important. Everybody that works in Azure, Sentinel, anything within Azure deals with data and data ingestion. So this is huge.
Yeah.
So, Morten, how long is this project, going to be your source of attention, and what's the new shiny? I'm sure you're going to finish this out and hand it off, and you're going to go, create something else, or is it super secret?
No, I actually do touch base with the product teams, once in a while, and see how we can, bring in some of the new things that are coming, and maybe also doing some private previews, testing new things and stuff like that. So there will be some more things coming soon. And like I was saying, I would love to do, for example, some monitoring. That could be really cool, so that we can, make sure that data are coming through the pipeline, and we can see what's going on there, and react on it, and maybe incorporate that as a part of the monitoring.
We call that
and
monitoring the monitor.
Yeah.
Watching
exactly.
the watchers.
Yeah.
Mon.
So, but besides that, today I've been working on a cool new PIM automation module, where I'm doing some cool stuff, and like building administrative units, the RMAU, and also it's based on the enterprise access model. So it will help replace people that are using the legacy tiering model that they're used to, and bringing in this new enterprise access model, and making sure that it works both on their legacy environment and also on their cloud environments. And I think dealing with that requires some automation, so that you can manage all the policies and the eligible and the active assignments and the renewals of the things that are about to expire, and stuff like that. So that's another example of a thing that I've been working on today, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you for all you do, Morten. You're awesome.
Yeah, Morten is giving me imposter syndrome.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't even know what my job is anymore.
I have no idea. I'm pretending to be this guy to know something. Yeah. Morten, I know I'm late to the game, and I want to respect your time. You in a totally crazy time zone, but this has been excellent.
That's great.
Yeah, it's when you and I started communicating on LinkedIn and everything, we were chatting back and forth, man. And once again, my apologies for being late. Bad time management. There you go.
It's okay. 19th hole. We got it.
That's fine. Hey, and I wanna congratulate Nicholas again for why you chose this show. I have no idea. You're probably second guessing yourself at this point. But
yeah, he is.
Thanks.
I did all this work. You put me here. Oh.
We're popular in Europe, I guess. Who knew?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
it was a chance to talk to Morten, right?
Yeah,
there you go. He's just teasing us. Yeah, that's fair.
2 days in the same show.
Exactly.
Yeah. What are the chances?
I wouldn't doubt you guys are just in separate rooms.
It is a small country.
Separate rooms. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mike, thanks for joining us as well. Really great insight. Good content.
I really appreciate also you joining, Nick. Thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. I know you're really busy. But,
well, we know who to bug now. We know.
Oh yeah, he should have put his title in there. I got a pinned in now. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, people are going to find me on LinkedIn, and I think I already got some people.
There you go. Yeah.
Just tell us what you're announcing at Ignite early. We'll be friends, okay? That'd be great.
Yeah. It's my days are literally just trying to talk to everyone in Azure Monitor, just to keep on the same page. There's so much going on, and we need to all make sure it makes sense together. So I'm just meeting to meeting, talking to people and trying to understand what's going on, and tell them what we're trying to do and make sure it can all fit together.
Yeah. Well, one of the funny things I think would be if Nick told us what his group is announcing at Ignite, it would give an indication of what everybody else is announcing at Ignite. So
don't do it.
Super secret sauce.
Don't let Roy get you in trouble, man.
No, it's.
I also wanted to give credit to Ivan and Evgeny, who couldn't join us today. Yeah. So they're on. I know Ivan is on vacation right now because of 4th of July vacation, but they're running the owning this from a pipeline perspective. So they're the pipeline guys. So they've been really tremendous to work with as well. So it's been really close. Working together with Nick and the other guys there. So cool. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, they're both on vacation right now, actually, and but yeah, they're handling the data side. I'm handling the control side, but they're the ones making the cool KQL stuff work and everything. So they're really great people to work with, and they've helped out Morten quite a bit on this.
Well, everyone, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks to the listeners, loyal subscribers, and everything. Martin, you always welcome back. You know, I would say come back anytime you have something cool, but that would be like tomorrow. Like the next day, you'll be right there, right? So
after the show,
Nicholas, thanks for choosing our show as your prize.
Yeah,
and
thank
Mr.
you.
Kels, finally, good to meet you, Nick, for the first time. I think I've seen your name. I'm in the AMA chat.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Edward's met everybody before.
They kicked me out of the chat. The AMA chat, they kicked me out. A troublemaker. So that's how I know him.
Everybody, don't forget, no show next week. We come back in 2 weeks with John O'Neill, and this was a audience suggestion for a topic. We're talking about cyber insurance.
Nice. I'm glad you told me there was no show next week. I would have just shown up.
Yeah, I wish you had. And Andrew would just showed up by herself.
Team Canada over here.
Yeah. we just kept telling her, we're coming. Stay on the show. We'll be there in a minute.
Yeah. We'll be there soon. Yeah,
we'll be there soon. You'll stay on the show. Yeah. Well, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Have a good
Nice, Rod.